All right, perfect. So here we are with Anthara.
Yes, Anthara.
Anthara, all right. Anthara is a woman in tech of a special place. I think what your background's AI, correct?
Yes, so AI and marketing and implementation started with program and project management. So yes.
All right, so sweet. It's a pleasure to have you. Love to speak to people like yourself who are in positions that you're in, and just the challenges that you faced to get there. So I'll jump right into it. So where does your passion for the beauty industry stem from?
Definitely. So my passion for beauty came from just growing up. My parents, they worked full time, but also had businesses. They owned businesses. My mom and stepfather were second generation business owners, and I'm third. So them owning a salon, growing up, being in the salon, how culturally embedded that is. But then also, one of my first businesses was a natural hair care line. We were featured in Essence Magazine, did Curl Box Natural, all of those things. And, I really started to consult in beauty and learn that there were a lot of just business acumen things that could be solved from a technology perspective. And beauty has always been a multi-billion-dollar industry that's, pretty much overlooked. So that's where it started.
Absolutely. That sounds amazing. I mean, the fact that your parents as well, had already been involved is pretty dope that you kept it going, right? And I can tell that you have a passion for it. As well as my second question is, what inspired you to get into tech? I mean, being that beauty was something that you've been around, beauty industry, you've been around. What sparked your tech? What sparked your tech journey?
What sparked my tech journey, honestly? So when I was 9, I used to put together and set up my parents and their friends and, family friends, their computers. Back when Fry's and the Compaq brand was real big and HP was, real big. I used to put together people's printers and troubleshoot. So I started at a young age, always was kind of, into tech. I call myself the unconventional nerd because I was always, into kind of, girly things, drill team and dance at church. But I would, research things to no end, grew up reading encyclopedias. And I went into corporate at a young age. I went into corporate at 19 working for 7-Eleven as a field marketing manager. So by the time, I was 22, 23, I had already been in corporate, upwards of 4 or 5 years and started to see that there was a breakdown between marketing, which is where I was, marketing and the IT departments. And at that time, digital marketing was just beginning. So that was around, like 2012, 2013, right when the first Instagram came out, first version. And so I was just seeing a breakdown on the corporate side. And I was like, I really need to, start transitioning over. I transitioned into working for a marketing department at a huge mega church. I was able to leverage, my experience in marketing and transition over. And so that's what really got me started into tech, was seeing that breakdown on the corporate end, and just seeing the fact that if there was someone, and this was my whole goal, there was someone who you could appeal to the marketing team, but then you could also communicate to IT, the design and client requests without, basically interfering with the production rollout and development rollout, then you're gold. And so that really, translated into the last couple of years that I was in corporate. I finished my corporate career in 2018, and I was actually a program manager for Lennox International, who they do, HVAC systems nationwide. I had a team of 18 underneath me. I had 7 developers, 4 business analysts, a copywriter, 2 UX researchers, and 1 designer.
Well, that's that's an entire that's an entire assembly line right there. That's the whole life cycle.
Exactly.
You're basically running a company at that point.
Right, exactly. And so, when we were basically the digital agency for commercial branding, residential branding, e-learning, which was for our partnerships with trade schools. And so, it really opened me up to opportunities within, just more on the enterprise side, which, I'm sure we'll get into that later, but the enterprise opportunities within technology. So,
yeah, that's dope. I mean, that's very relatable. I completely understand all of that. And it's amazing to even hear you say, you were able to break into that industry. Those experiences are something that I can really relate to as far as having a team, managing a team, doing what you have to do to fulfill that life cycle. So the next question I have for you is, how did you manage to merge tech with the beauty industry?
Yeah, so like I was saying, I kind of started to immerse myself on more of the cert side of it, 2014, 15, and then by 2016, I was preparing to get married, or so I thought I was, and went through a really life-changing domestic violence experience 4 days before the wedding was, supposed to happen. And that put me in a position to, thank you. That put me in a position where I had to just make some life choices. And, at that time I was running my lifestyle marketing company. And, that's how I actually, scaled up the hair care company, was that, I couldn't afford PR. And so I said, well, I've worked in marketing long enough, and I was still working full time. So I supported my hair care line that way. So anyhow, took that, started consulting beauty professionals. Of course, you have your booking applications, and this was a constant, it still is when I go into investment meetings, but there wasn't any type of platform that was quote unquote the Salesforce for beauty. There wasn't anything like that. Wow. And so, there wasn't anything like that. So the proof of concept, I built myself, just a simple, CSS, just simple. And then when we got into, we did the ideation reveal at Microsoft in Dallas. And then from there, when we got into MVP 1 and 2, we started to scale more so and focus on enterprise opportunities. So your cosmetology and barber schools, right? This is, like I said, multi-billion-dollar industry.
Absolutely.
And so when you start to look at, these professionals, and so I started to, attend workshops. I went to Tech Week when it was still around in 2017, went up to Developer Week in, New York, met a bunch of people, did a hackathon, all kinds of things like that. And really started to more so begin to understand the business of technology, which I'm really, really big on, because I feel like there's a huge component of people selling the opportunity, but not the business of it, right? So, you have people who they own applications, or maybe they're using template applications, but they own no intellectual property. So at the end of the day, you have this app that is for Black businesses, being listed or for whatever, right? Selling your products, but you don't own any type of innovation, which is how Uber. Go ahead.
And what would you say, because this is great. I mean, you're just like, man, it's like amazing the information that you're putting out there right now. I'm gonna move into the last question, and it's a good question. So, what are the double standards you have to deal with as a woman in the tech industry?
As a woman overall, I think sometimes we don't talk about. There is male privilege unconsciously, so there are certain things that men can do, and I'm speaking from experience. Whereas, I've taken male friends who are in technology into meetings with me, or even included them in my deck just to see the response I would get. And you basically are undermined or questioned for the validity of your project or anything like that. And I'm speaking from, there are other booking applications that a lot of investment firms would easily say, oh, you're just like such and such, not even realizing that we are a MyBeautyFill.
I agree with you 100%. Trying to keep it purposeful and making sure that you are doing this for a reason that is beyond trying to be the only person to do it. Focusing on those algorithms and that intellectual property that makes you different is what you should put the energy into versus trying to chase the unicorn status and being the biggest guy in that space, you could say. And Uber, and you can think Ubers and all those guys who recently sprouted over the past 10 years. And those are just one-off rare situations that just realistically don't happen. It's like a 1% chance for everyone else. You know what I mean? Especially us.
Especially us. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I've really been kind of contemplating doing a almost like an IGTV series with some other Black founders I know. We went through an investment program together last year, and just talking about how, a lot of times we need help. Even right now, I've been trying to look for a team to finish out MyBeautyFill and a lot of things going on with that. And it's been hard because culturally, I want to hire Black people, people of color, Hispanics, Latinos. I want to hire those who are underserved within technology. Because a lot of times at larger companies, you are taken advantage of, or you're either positioned to where, just like myself, I was one of few Black or Hispanic people, and this was even in 2018.
Your team makeup matters the most.
That I ran into a lot as a woman, having a team, but it's hard, right? It's easier said than done, because I think unconsciously, a lot of us have been conditioned to, okay, let me go and get this certification or this degree, and then I'm going to go apply at Google. That's good and fine, not taking that away from you. But imagine if the skills that you're taking into Google, let's say you just stayed as a contractor at Google versus going full time, and you were able to freelance outside of that because you're not signed into a intellectual property disclosure, which Google does make people sign. Anything you create while working there is theirs.
Mm-hmm.
You could work with startups and then also build up your stock portfolio at the same time.
Absolutely.
For both of my companies, I give employees stock. At a minimum, you start with 50 shares of preferred stock, so that, as we are increasing and scaling, you have more ownership. You feel a part of the company. So that's something too, as a woman, it's just, I've encountered is the questioning as to securing employees. There's just been a lot of shaky ground around that, versus some of my male colleagues who are startups as well. Way easier trajectory plan to secure employees and contractors. They're not questioned as much. They're trusted easier. It's quite interesting. And it's an unconscious thing too, that that happens.
Well, I mean, again, just the experience and just like your journey has been amazing to hear. Wow, I'm like, for me personally, I'm excited to just listen to this again because there's so much beautiful information in here that you've been able to experience and build up. And those are very valid and very important points. And I hope that anyone who listens to this can really understand that the journey is special and it's unique, but there's more to it than we know. And we have to obviously take those precautions and those measures to make sure we do what we need to do to protect ourselves and also, bring value to whatever we're trying to push. So I truly thank you. And again, like I said, if there's anything that we can do to support you, we're here. And that's the thing that Tech One wants to do the most, is obviously bring awareness, create a community for us to be able to communicate and support each other. And everything that you've mentioned is in line with what we want to do as well. So I'm excited to be able to create a relationship from this point forward. I think that we'll have more discussions going forward as well. And I really appreciate your time, and everything that you've offered as far as value and information is very important and key. So we're excited to showcase this again and showcase this to everyone that we have as an audience as well. I think that, again, it'll bring so much value to to the women that are in tech, the women of color that are in tech, and just people of color that are in tech, period. So I really appreciate your time. I'm excited for MyBeautyFill. I think that it's going to be amazing. I think that it serves the market that really needs it. If there's, like I said, if there's anything that we can do at Tech One, we'd love to do it. And let's continue to build, and let's continue to grow, and as well as let's lean onto each other for support. And that's the main thing that we need to do in this community, because that's all we got is each other.
Definitely, and I really appreciate that. Let's definitely follow up afterward. I'd love to know more about Tech One and your services. And thank you so much for just having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, and I'll be in touch with you post interview, and as well as going forward as well. So I really appreciate your time, and you have a blessed day, and keep doing what you do. It's amazing.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.